The sun was already high over the red roofs of Ogvud village, baking the market square in heat and dust. Women in bright wrappers shouted prices, pesos pounded yam in rhythm, and the air smelled of pepper, roasted fish, and gossip. It was the biggest market day of the month, when traders from neighboring villages came to buy and sell, and everyone, from the richest chief's wife to the poorest widow, filled their baskets. But that morning, something strange happened. A soft hiss, barely audible at first, crept through the market like wind in dry grass. Chickens fluttered. Goats pulled at their ropes. At the edge of the market, near the palm wine seller's stall, a snake slithered quietly between baskets of ripe plantains. It was long, black, and glistening, unlike any snake the villagers had ever seen. Chinik. A snake, shouted one woman, jumping onto her table. Somebody kill it. Men dropped their goods and ran for sticks. But the snake didn't strike. It coiled near the well, raised its head, and looked straight at the crowd, with eyes that glowed human. Wait, cried an old woman named Mama Yugo. Her wrinkled hand trembled as she pointed. That snake, it has eyes like my late son, Obi's. The market went silent. Then, without warning, the snake spoke. Its voice was deep, sorrowful, and clear as thunder in the distance. Do not be afraid. I came not to bite, but to beg. Screams erupted. Women scattered, fruits rolled across the ground, and even the town crier dropped his gong. The snake turned slowly, gazing around. I was once a man of this village, it said. A man cursed by greed and betrayal. I came to warn you, before it is too late. Then, before anyone could move, it disappeared, slipping beneath the piles of cassava, leaving only dust and fear behind. That evening, the elders gathered in Chief Okoro's compound. The air smelled of palm oil and tension. Chief Okoro sat on a wooden chair, his face stern. So, he said, a talking snake visits our market and claims to be a man. Is this witchcraft or madness? Mama Yugo raised her hand. I know what I saw, Chief. Those eyes were not ordinary. That snake was human once, maybe cursed by the gods. A younger man, the blacksmith, snorted. You old women see ghosts everywhere. A snake is a snake. But the priest of the shrine, Izmiri, spoke up quietly. Not all snakes crawl on their bellies, my son. Some walk among us, until their sins find them. A heavy silence fell. Outside, thunder rumbled, though no clouds had gathered. Children cried in their sleep. Dogs barked at shadows. By dawn, the story had spread through every hut, every farm, every palm grove. And yet, no one knew that miles away, in the forest behind Ogwiyud, a man was waking up, gasping, drenched in sweat, half human, half snake. His name was Dyke. And once, he had been a beloved son of the village. The curse of Dyke. Long before the day the snake slithered into the food market, Ogvud village had known a young man named Dyke Namani, tall, strong, and charming, with eyes as bright as morning fire. He was the pride of his mother, Mama Yugo, and the envy of the other men. Dyke was a hunter. But he wasn't like the other hunters who respected the spirits of the forest. He hunted not for need but for glory. When he killed an antelope, he would boast for days, laughing loudest and walking proudest. Let the gods keep their forest, he once said. I, Dyke, will take what I want. Those words were the beginning of his downfall. The Forbidden River. One Harmattan season, when food was scarce and the river had shrunk to a ribbon of silver, Dyke heard whispers about a sacred forest beyond the river Miriaku, a place no one dared enter. The elders warned, whoever crosses the river to hunt in the forbidden forest will not return the same. But greed speaks louder than wisdom. Dyke wanted the rare white python said to live there, its skin was worth a fortune, and its meat was believed to bring power. He ignored every warning and crossed the river at dawn, bow in hand. The forest was silent, too silent. The air was thick with the smell of wet leaves and mystery. Birds stopped singing as he passed. Then he saw it. The white python, coiled on a fallen log, its eyes calm, ancient, and knowing. Dyke notched an arrow, aimed, and fired. The arrow struck the snake, but instead of dying, it turned into light. The air cracked open. Thunder roared from the ground itself. And before Dyke could run, a woman appeared, clothed in mist and scales. Her eyes were golden like a sunset over the river. "Why have you done this, son of man?" she asked. Dyke trembled. I only wanted to feed my people." "Lies," said the serpent woman. "Your heart beats with greed, not hunger. You killed what you could not understand. Now, you will live as what you despised." She raised her hand, and lightning struck his chest. When he woke, Dyke's legs were gone. His body twisted, scaled, and heavy. He screamed, but the sound came out as a hiss. He had become a snake. The cursed years. For years, Dyke lived in the shadows of the forest, neither man nor beast. He slithered by night, watching from afar as his mother grew old and frail. He saw his friends marry, his enemies prosper, and his name fade into rumor. Some nights, he'd crawl near the village boundary and whisper his mother's name. But when she turned, only wind and rustling leaves answered. The curse was cruel. He could only appear human again one day every year, from sunrise to sunset, and only if no human laid eyes on him. If anyone saw him before he returned to the forest, the curse would grow stronger. And so, for years, Dyke waited. Until one day, he heard something, a prophecy whispered by the forest spirits. The curse shall break only when the cursed serves the hungry and gives what he once stole. Those words stirred something inside him. He thought of his mother, of the village that once fed him, and of the market he used to visit. He decided, he would go to the market, not as a man, but as the creature he had become, to serve those he once wronged. That was the day the snake came to the food market. The day after. By morning, the whole village buzzed like a disturbed hive. Children whispered, "Did you see it? The talking snake?" Women crossed themselves before cooking. Men stayed close to their machetes. Only Mama Yugo sat quietly in front of her hut, staring into the forest. She hadn't slept since hearing that voice in the market, that deep, sorrowful voice. She knew. A mother always knows. That evening, she took a small calabash, filled it with palm wine and kola nuts, and walked toward the forest path. "Where are you going, Mama Yugo?" her neighbor asked. "To see my son," she whispered. "Whether he walks on two legs or crawls on his belly, he is still my child." The forest swallowed her. The mother and the snake. The trees whispered as she walked deeper. Fireflies floated like spirits, lighting her path. Then she saw movement, a dark shape coiling near a fallen irako tree. "Mama." Her knees went weak. The snake raised its head, and for a moment, she saw Dyke's face in its eyes. "My son," she cried, tears streaming. "What happened to you?" He bowed his head. "I was greedy, Mama. I disrespected the gods. They turned me into this thing." She knelt beside him, unafraid. "Even a cursed child is still a child. Come home. Let us face it together." "I can't," he said. "If the villagers see me, they will kill me. I came only to warn them. A greater curse is coming, one that will swallow Ogbyud whole." "What curse?" she asked, terrified. Dyke looked toward the village lights flickering through the trees. "The same greed that turned me into this is now spreading through the hearts of men. It will destroy them all if they do not change." Before she could ask more, a sound came from the path, footsteps. "Mama Yugo," a man's voice shouted. "The chief sent us to find you." The snake recoiled. "Go, Mama. If they see me, I will never be free." Torn between fear and love, she turned back once more. I will find a way to break your curse, my son. I swear it. And then she ran. The snake disappeared into the darkness. The next day, thunder cracked over Ogwyud. Rain poured without mercy. And something terrible began to happen in the market. The market's curse. The storm came without warning. Dark clouds rolled over Ogwyud village, swallowing the sun. The wind howled like angry spirits, tearing through the palm trees. Traders who had gathered early for market day clutched their wrappers and baskets, praying for the rain to stop. But the rain didn't come as water, it came thick and black, like oil from the ground. Yo! The gods are angry, someone shouted. And indeed, it seemed so. The marketplace flooded in minutes. Fruits floated away like small boats. Yam piles collapsed. Even the stubborn goats bleated and broke free. Then came the thunder, but this thunder spoke. It rolled across the sky, deep and deliberate. Ogwyud, you have forgotten the old ways. You have mocked the spirits. Now, you shall reap what you sow. Men and women froze where they stood. The sound was everywhere and nowhere, inside their ears, inside their hearts. And as quickly as it began, the rain stopped. The sky cleared. The air was eerily still. But something had changed. The market looked the same, yet everything moved. The heaps of cassava twitched. The baskets of plantains stirred. Then the people gasped. From the shadows, snakes began to appear. Hundreds of them, slithering out from between the stalls, crawling from under the benches, coiling around pots. Some were small, others huge, but all moved in one direction, toward the center of the market. At their front was a massive black serpent, its scales glistening like wet coal. Its eyes burned gold. "Dyke," whispered Mama Yugo, who had come to the market with trembling hands. She knew it was her son. The villagers screamed, some fainted, others ran for the chief's compound. But the snake did not attack. It simply lifted its head and spoke again. I warned you. The curse of greed is upon this land. Look around, do you not see? The seeds of greed. It all started small, with Ajuma, the yam seller. She had hidden her best yams under a mat, planning to sell them at a higher price later. But when she lifted the mat, the yams had turned into snakes. They slithered away, leaving behind trails of slime. Then Obi the butcher screamed, his cow meat had turned to stone. The fish seller, Ngozi, cried out next, her entire table of smoked tilapia had vanished, replaced by piles of writhing black snakes. People dropped to their knees, wailing. Chief Okoro arrived with his guards, spear in hand. Who brings this evil upon us? He thundered. I command the spirit to leave. But the black serpent only turned its head slowly toward him. You command. You, who cheated widows and took their land for your own farm. You, who made the poor bow before you for a handful of grain. The chief stumbled backward, pale as chalk. How do you know this? He stammered. I see all that crawls beneath the earth, said the snake. Your greed has poisoned this village. The crowd murmured, frightened and ashamed. Mama Yugo stepped forward, tears in her eyes. My son, please. Have mercy. The snake looked at her, and for a moment, everyone saw the flicker of humanity in its eyes. Mercy must be earned, Mama. They must change. Or Ogwyud will become a land of crawling things. The accusation. Suddenly, from the crowd, a man shouted, This is your fault, old woman. You brought the curse. It was the blacksmith, his face twisted with fear. You're the snake's mother. You fed it. You called it here. Others began to murmur, stepping away from her. Mama Yugo lifted her hands. No. He is my son, yes, but he came to warn you, not to harm you. But fear is a fire that burns faster than reason. Kill her before she curses us all, someone shouted. They rushed toward her, sticks raised. The black snake moved faster than lightning. It coiled between Mama Yugo and the crowd, hissing loud enough to shake the trees. Touch her, it said, and you will answer to the gods. The villagers froze. The snake turned its gaze toward the sky. The curse can still be lifted, it said. But only through sacrifice. What sacrifice? Chief Okoro asked, trembling. The snake's voice deepened. The greed that destroyed this land must die. A heart that covets must be offered to cleanse it. Everyone looked at one another, terrified. No one wanted to ask what that meant. Then, without another word, the snake slithered back toward the forest, the smaller snakes following in a dark, rippling wave. The market was left in ruins, and silence. The aftermath. That night, the village could not sleep. The air was heavy with fear and guilt. In the chief's compound, a secret meeting began. Chief Okoro, the blacksmith, and several elders gathered by lantern light. This cannot continue, said the chief. The snake will return. We must kill it before it brings more ruin. But what if it speaks the truth? One elder asked quietly. Perhaps the gods are using him to warn us. The blacksmith slammed his fist on the table. Nonsense. Snakes do not give sermons. It's witchcraft. And that woman, Mama Yugo, is helping him. They agreed to form a hunting party by dawn. But deep in her hut, Mama Yugo prayed by a flickering oil lamp. Spirits of my ancestors, she whispered, guide me. If my son must pay for his sins, let him find peace. But spare this village from its own greed. The wind blew out her lamp. And in that darkness, a soft voice echoed. The heart of greed lies not in the market, but in the palace. Mama Yugo gasped. She knew what that meant. The next morning, before sunrise, she set out for Chief Okoro's compound. The chief's secret. The morning came cold and gray. Smoke rose from cooking fires, but no one sang, no one bargained. Ogwyud village had lost its laughter. The market stalls stood half empty, food spoiled where it lay. Even the cocks crowed weakly, as if frightened of their own voices. Mama Yugo walked through the silent square with her wrapper tied tight and a calabash of offerings in her hand. Her sandals scraped against the wet red dust. She had one purpose, to face Chief Okoro. At the compound gate, the guards blocked her way. Go back, old woman. The chief is meeting the hunters. Mama Yugo raised her chin. Tell him I come in peace. Tell him the mother of the snake seeks truth. The guards hesitated. Her eyes burned like coals, steady and fearless. They stepped aside. Inside, Chief Okoro sat beneath a raffia canopy. His once white robe was stained with palm oil, his crown crooked on his head. Around him were the same men who had met by lantern light, men whose greed had fed on Ogwyud for years. Mama Yugo, he said, forcing a smile. Why bring yourself to my gate? Have you not brought us enough trouble? She set the calabash down before him. Inside lay colonnuts and river stones. I bring what truth cannot hide, she said. Your heart knows why the gods are angry. The chief laughed, too loudly. You dare accuse me? She stepped closer. The snake spoke of a greedy heart in the palace. I ask you, Chief Okoro, where is the rice you took from the people's harvest fund? Where are the goats collected for the shrine feast? Gasps filled the courtyard. The elders shifted uncomfortably. The chief's face darkened. Mind your tongue, woman. Mama Yugo's voice rose, steady as a drumbeat. You built your new house on land stolen from widows. You forced farmers to pay taxes for your own farm. The gods saw it. My son saw it. That is why he was sent back, not to curse us, but to expose you. Thunder cracked overhead though the sky was clear. The earth trembled under their feet. Chief Okoro stumbled backward, shouting, "Seize her!" The guards moved, but then the ground split open at the center of the courtyard. Dust swirled, and from it rose the black serpent. Screams echoed. Men fell to their knees. The snake's voice shook the air. "You cannot hide from judgment, Okoro. The greed of one man feeds the curse of many." The chief collapsed, trembling. "Mercy! Mercy!" But the serpent continued. "Return what you stole, confess before your people, and Ogyud may yet be saved." Okoro crawled forward, sobbing. I will confess. Only spare me." The snake nodded slowly and vanished into mist. The confession. By noon, the gong of the town crier sounded across Ogyud. "All men, all women, gather at the square. The chief will speak." The crowd came quickly, murmuring, fearful. Mama Yugo stood near the shrine, clutching her walking stick. Chief Okoro appeared, his robe torn, his crown gone. He looked smaller, older. "My people," he began, voice shaking, "I have wronged you. I took what was not mine. I feared poverty, and in my fear I became a thief." He pointed toward the storehouse behind his compound. "The gods revealed my shame. There lies your grain, your yams, your oil." Gasps turned to angry whispers. Some men wanted to rush him, but Mama Yugo lifted her stick. "Let him finish." The chief sank to his knees. "Forgive me, Ogyud. Let me make amends before the gods take my breath." The villagers watched in silence. Then one old farmer stepped forward. "Let the snake decide his fate." At those words, a chill passed through the air. The price of redemption. That night, when the moon rose full and red, the villagers gathered again at the market square. They lit torches around the old well, the same place where the snake had first spoken. Chief Okoro stood in the center, trembling. Mama Yugo stood beside him, holding a bowl of river water mixed with ashes. "If your repentance is true," she said softly, "wash your hands in this water and swear by the spirits to serve, not rule." He knelt, dipped his hands, and raised them to the sky. "I swear." The wind rose. The flames bent toward the center. From the darkness came the sound of scales sliding over stone. The black serpent appeared, larger than ever, eyes glowing. It coiled around the well but did not strike. "Your words are heard," it said. "But redemption has a price." Okoro bowed low. "I will pay anything." "Then give back the life your greed destroyed." The crowd murmured, confused. The serpent continued. "The widow Neka died of hunger after you seized her farm. Her only son now begs in the streets. Bring him food. Build him shelter. Until he is fed and free, your guilt remains." Okoro nodded, tears falling. "I will do it." The serpent's body shimmered, breaking into smaller snakes that slid away into the night. The last flick of its tail vanished into the earth. Mama Yugo whispered, "Thank you, my son." A sign of hope. Days passed. The chief kept his word. He reopened the storehouse, returned the stolen goods, and knelt before every family he had wronged. The market began to breathe again, fish sellers laughed, children played, the smell of roasted maize returned to the air. People began to say, "The curse is lifting." But deep inside the forest, Dyke still lived half man, half serpent. His body weakened each time he used his powers. One night, he crawled to the riverbank and saw his reflection. The human part of his face flickered like light through smoke. Soon, he whispered, "I will fade completely." Then he heard a voice, the same calm tone that had cursed him long ago. "You have done well, Dyke. But one thing remains." He turned. The white python spirit appeared again, glowing in moonlight. "You must forgive yourself," she said. "Only then will your body be free." Tears filled his eyes. After what I've done. Even the earth forgives the rain that floods it. Do you think the gods cannot forgive a man who has learned humility? She touched his forehead with her tail. A surge of light passed through him. His scales faded, his skin returned. For the first time in years, Dyke stood on two legs. But the light around him dimmed quickly. He could already feel the pull of death. The last morning. At dawn, villagers found Mama Yugo kneeling by the river, holding her son's head in her lap. He was smiling faintly, human again, eyes peaceful. "My son," she whispered. "I am free, Mama," he said weakly. "Tell them to live without greed. Tell them, the market must feed all, not a few." With that, his breath left him. The river carried his body gently downstream, turning to silver in the morning sun. Mama Yugo wept but did not call out. She knew the gods had finally taken pity. Epilogue, the market reborn. Years later, Ogbyud Market became known across the land as Ikudo, the market of peace. No trader cheated another. A bowl of grain cost the same for rich and poor. A statue of a coiled snake stood by the well, carved in black stone. At its base were words engraved by the new chief. Greed turns men to snakes, generosity makes them human. Every year, on the day the black rain once fell, the people of Ogbyud gather with drums and dance to honor the one who saved them. They tell their children the story, how a man's pride became his curse, and how love and repentance turned that curse into a blessing. And as the sun sets behind the hills, elders end the tale with a whisper that still chills the air. Remember, my child, when the snake came to the food market, it came not to eat, but to teach. Moral of the story. Greed destroys communities faster than hunger, only compassion can heal what selfishness corrupts.